Hola chicos, ¿cómo están? Espero que muy bien. Ah, Les habla Sergio, NCPIM, de ISEC en México para el periodo 17-18. Entonces, vamos a esperar un segundito a que empiecen a llegar los espectadores y comenzamos con el Consultancy. Entonces, de todos modos, yo voy a estar por aquí para cualquier cosa que necesiten. Hello again. Um, we're going to start now. Welcome to the people who are there. Hola, Sony. And hello to the people that will listen to this recording. Just to let you know, this session is going to be in English. I apologize in advance if there's like any external noises. Like we had some technical problems in the house, but here we go. So let me just project the presentation for this space. And yes, I'm gonna start the presentation now. Here, let's see. Wait a second. And then a little bit of technical. issues here, but it's fine. So here we go. Okay. So I hope you can see it now. Yes, perfect. So just let me know if you see the slides, and I'm gonna wait. And if you say yes, we should start. A couple of seconds. Yeah. So let's begin. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Sergio Garcia. I am the MCVP IM, Information Management, for the term 17-18 here in Isaac in Mexico. So this consultancy space means that you're interested in becoming the next MCVP IM of Isaac in Mexico. So what we're going to talk about today is going to be a couple of topics. It's going to be 6, in fact. So first, we're going to start with the context, what has happened in the last 2 MC terms in terms of information management, platform management, and all the evolutions in terms of name, in terms of projects, in terms of scope, in terms of this kind of things, vision of the area. Then we're gonna talk about the current status. So what we have right now, and then we're gonna talk about the vision and national goal. So what do we want to achieve as information management here in Mexico, and also being part of an IM network all around the world. So as a 4th point, we're gonna talk about the future in terms of what's next for IM, and what's the current the next state of the platforms. I'm gonna talk about a little bit about Mexico, but I'm gonna also talk about what's going on in international level and how Mexico is going to move towards that. And like last but not least, I'm gonna talk about my MCP experience, right? What being part of MC Mexico means, like my personal experience in terms of living in the house, the office, etc., but also about the role itself, like what being MCPIM of Isaac in Mexico means for me and for the role itself. And finally, we're gonna finalize the session with some Q&A. I'm gonna post the link here. If you don't have access, let me see. Should it? Yeah, it's blocked. So I'm gonna duplicate it, and now you should be able copy. Okay, so now you should be able to post questions about IM and PD. So just use the tab that it's not blocked, that doesn't have a padlock on it, and you write your name, you write your question, you write your role, and I'll give you some answer, I hope. And that's it. That's the flow for today, and we're gonna start. So, first, we're gonna start off with MC Vive. What happened with MC Vive? We had an IM manager. So at this point, 15, 16, yes, we didn't have an MCP in charge of our platforms, in charge of our information management. We only had an IM manager. So starting from MC Odyssey in 2012, 2013. That was the last time we had an MCP full-time in charge of platforms, which was our MCP marketing and IM. And then after that, we only had marketing, and under marketing, we had IM. So we had an IM manager who was in charge of, it wasn't under Sabino, our MCVP digital marketing, and he was in charge of all the Google apps, basically. So all the emails, isaac.org emails, and all the management of the platforms, Drive, etc. We also had website management. So that's one of the 2 main responsibilities of the IM manager. So we have our website, isaac.org.mx, and this person managed the WordPress. So in MC Vive, we did a migration of like a static isaac.org.mx page to a WordPress website. So we did that migration with MC Vive. So after that, like all the content was managed by the marketing team, and the guts of the system, like the servers, were managed by the IM manager of MC Vive. So that's basically MC Vive. Not a lot of stuff going on, like all the platforms, like in terms of Expa, in terms of like doubts, education of IM. There was none of that. Like it was all managed by the exchangers, and it was basically that. So the only thing the IM manager did was Google Apps and website management. So we identified the need for an IM in our entity. So MC Hub, our MCP elect, launches applications for MCP DI. In this case, DI stands for data intelligence. Yes, this area has changed names a lot. So it started off as data intelligence, and then it has evolved. Like like Kike, our MCPDI elect for this term, he did a lot of stuff. So he didn't want just to do Google Apps and website management. Yes, we needed these things, like we need a website and we need isa.org.mx emails to handle like all these things and all the security of those. But that's not the only thing that Kike would do. He also wanted to standardize processes and map them in order to really do data intelligence, not just platform management. So he turned into IT project management. That's what he did, basically, his whole MCP term. He launched during his term a lot of platforms, but the most notable ones are the ones that I'm listing here. So the first one is online donation. So it was a platform for people to do their, basically do their donations, because of course we don't do, because of the nature of the organization here, we can do not, we cannot call them payments, so it's donations. And so our online donations for the products of OGX, we have online donation for OGV, OGE, and OGT. So that's one thing that Kike did. Then he also, with his team, he did the plugins. Basically, if you sign up in the website of isaac.org.mx, you don't have to duplicate the registrations, for example. I mean, when you sign up in Expa, you only get like one line of communication with the LC. But if you sign in isaac.org.mx/volunteer, well, that's not the actual one, it's /voluntariado, you have a form that actually goes and connects to our Podio, so that people can, like our members, can keep track more precisely of what's going on with the process of the EP and can contact them because they're more used to Podio. That's what was happening in the moment with the platform right now. So they signed up in the website, and what the plugin did, it was signed up automatically on Podio, but also signed up automatically on Expa. So if Expa failed, like we already had the plugin and we already had that information in Podio for members to recover it. So this was the time where Expa had a lot of instabilities, and we needed to have a fix in some sort of some sort, and that was the thing that the DI team came up with. So basically that's it. Like we would have a connection with Expa, a connection with Podio, but also after the second semester, a connection with our lead nurturing platform, which is GetResponse. So we would send emails with opportunities based on what they signed up for, like the people. For example, if you signed up for Global Volunteer product, you would get Global Volunteer opportunities directly from Expa every week. If you signed up for GV, same thing. No, for GT, same thing. If you signed up for GE, same thing. And if, for example, you had a specific profile, if you signed up for GT and your skills were IT based, you would get IT opportunities in the platform. So the DI team focused a lot on having those stuff rolling out all the time. Then we had CRM, our big shift. So at this point, we had our CRM in Podio for ICX. So IGT, basically IGGT, handle their leads and companies' interactions in Podio. And this was not very effective in the long run because you don't have a very good permission system. For example, if you take an account from one LC and give it to another LC, like you cannot do that in Podio because everyone could see every other person's information. So there was no real privacy. We had like data all over the place, and it was just a mess. So what we decided is like we moved to another platform. We tried two different platforms. First one was VTiger, and we discarded that during the term. And then we moved to the one we have today, ESPO, ESPO CRM. So right now we do that permission system, like tracking of the progress of the entities in the CRM, and it's much effective and much secure because we have it inside of our platforms. So we implemented that as well. And the last thing, but not least, is automations. So MC Hub DI focused a lot on automation. So one of the things that they rolled out was notification systems. Basically, if an EP applied, they would get information like the other person that, for example, like the EP manager that the EP was applying, and this kind of stuff. So it was basically they discover a way to hack the system and make people apply faster, or even make members of ISAC be faster in their operations in order to like be more customer oriented. So that's it for the context. So far, so good. And then I'm gonna explain. Okay, I'm missing a slide here. I'm gonna just insert it. Well, I don't see it, so it's okay. So right now, this is the current status of information management for the term 17-18, my term. So our vision as IM is to boost operations in direct metrics. That means like all the metrics that tell us how good or how fast we are, not how many experiences we're doing. So yes, operations is on charge of APDs and network speed and this kind of things, but IM is in charge of boosting these metrics, like making, for example, the process time faster or the conversion rates bigger through technology. So all the things that can boost those metrics through technology, this is what we do. And basically, we have 3 drivers. It's all of the things. So it's basically connecting operations and giving insights about tools and supporting operations into creation of tools. So it's, okay, so I'm going to explain it one by one. What do I mean by that? Digital Boost means to have platforms like the platforms I talked about, the CRM, the online donation, so the plugins and the automations. What we have done in information management this year is to keep them updated. Why? Because EXPA has changed a lot. If you are aware of the context of IM at a global level, a lot of things that's going on. Like the API changed, EXPA changed, like the YOP changed, and POP is going to change, and there are a lot of changes that are rolling out constantly. So this is the generation that has to keep those platforms and maintain those platforms updated. So this is our very first driver, Digital Boost. Basically, keep our operations of our platforms stable. So we have basically solve some errors and create new platforms, internal platforms, for example, One example that I have here for you is like we're putting the feature of deferred payments. So not only one payment with your bank, for example, for credit cards, you can pay in several months. So a lot of people, we can become more accessible to people. So this is one of our goals. We want to evolve the CRM as well to also uh, have space for IGV. So IGV segmentation is also going to be in the CRM. And also, same thing for automations. For example, we created a system that lets you see a Kanban of the process of the customer flow from applicant to approved, which was our biggest bottleneck. So we created a system that let you see, okay, you have these people in applied, these people are already accepted, these people are missing their LDA, these people are missing their payments, and these people are ready to be matched. You just need to give a click. And these people are already matched. So people from OGV areas, for example, which was our first implementation, could see how their EPs were progressing in the like every day. So this is one of the things that we've done this period, like continue the work of MC Hub in order to keep our platforms up to date and improve them day by day. Like we don't need to reinvent and throw everything to the garbage and start over. This is one of the main drivers of the area. The second is New Horizons. Basically, is to identify which data we're not seeing right now, which data we're blind about, and which data can help us boost our operations. For example, we have like this term, like not MC Vive, not MC Hub, and right now we're starting. Nobody had ever touched the marketing metrics, for example, of the website. So we know about all about micro conversions, macro conversions, micro conversions, and all these marketing metrics, and we're not using them. Like we have Google Analytics included in our grant, and we're not using it. So this driver is about using all these kinds of data to our benefit. And also, for example, like entity-to-entity visualization, like all the sort of data dashboards that can help MCs and LCs, MC Mexico and LCs to take decisions, right? And we're all already like planning to make all this data available, like open, like all this code open, so that other entities can implement it as well. And the last part is creation of tools. Because yes, we know that not everyone is a programmer, and this is a fact, of course, and this is something that like IMs and IT people from all around the network often forget, which is the right tools. Like if you have a very, very good tool, but only a programmer can use it, then what's the use of it? Like the thing that we want to is use the tools or adapt the tools that people normally use. For example, we're making use of the Google Spreadsheets script system to add on top of the spreadsheets. For example, we have a spreadsheet that if you click a button, you update data from Expo. That's one of the projects we're working on right now. For example, we have an achievement tracker that is all connected, and you don't really have to have like 4 or 5 different trackers in order to make it. So it's planned versus achieved, and we can track as MC how fast our LCs are going without the need of having to program, without the MCVPs having to ask me every time. They just use the tools. We adapt the tools and they use them. So we basically adapt our programming so that it's easy for them to use it on a daily basis. So this is the things that we're working on right now. It's basically, to sum up, continue with those platforms, online donations, the plugins, CRM, and automation, but also having this thing, like make them healthy, improve them, but also using data to take decisions, and also making those platforms simple for the final user, in this case, being the customer use or organizations, or even our members to use, right? So this is it for the current state of IM. Like right now, we have around 11 platforms running, we're wanting to, I'm going to talk about this later, but we're wanting to make them less and less every time because we want to take focus. But this is the next part, which is the future. So I'm going to talk about the future right now. So first of all, I want to talk about the part to your right, which is marketing / operations. Why I put this? Because as you can see in the structure of Tamara, of course, this may change depending on the MCP elect. You see that IM is the head of the marketing brand and customer experience, like BCXP corner. So it's like MCP B2B and MCP B2C are under IM. So why is that? Why? Because IM is meant to be the link, the bridge between marketing and operations. Marketing sets the strategy, like what's going to happen in the which channels, what's the target, which kind of people I'm going to target, what's going to be my best channel of implementation, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, what's going to be my message, what's going to be my graphic identity, that kind of things. But like at the end of the day, IM is the one, for example, with lead nurturing. That is also a project that we're running right now. Like we're aligning to AI. This is something I'll talk later. With lead nurturing, it doesn't happen if the platform doesn't work. So marketing strategies is just an idea, but if we make it happen with our platforms, that's how marketing actually happens, right? This is the first part. And the second part of operations is we boost operations through technology. That's what I already said. So if we set the right tools for operations to use, if our VPs, OGV, IGV, of all of our products are well trained in using of Expa, in using of our GSSs, of Google spreadsheets, and these kind of stuff, then people will be able to operate and do more leadership experiences as a result. So that's why we see and we project that IM is going to be the base and the link between marketing and operations to give a boost to the entity, right? Because at the end of the day, like all of the platforms are digital and the world is becoming digital, and there's a lot of data like just being created in the last 2-3 years that didn't really existed before. Like 90% of the data of the world is from the past 5 years, even more. So this is the first part, like why IM is going to evolve in this way and why it has to be very connected with marketing and why it has to aim to boost always operations. The second part is the MC platforms, which is, yes, we have a lot of platforms, but the thing is we need to have even less and less platforms every day. Why? Because we also have AI platforms, and this is something that we often forget here in Mexico. We have YOP, which is the new version rolled out, like the version 3 during last AI term. We have POP that is going to roll out, like the pilot's gonna, like the first version is going to roll out in IPM next month, and the final version for all the networks is going to roll out during your term if you get selected as MCPIM. Isaac Experience, we also have it. Like we have the already like the pilot of the app users are going to use, and it's going to be rolled out at an international level during the peak. So there's also a thing that is going to happen. And we have Expa, which is also evolving because POP is going to contain a CRM of its own. And Expa is also going to evolve to get better tools for the members. So in like right now, what we need to do and what the next MCPIM has to figure out is how these platforms are going to plug and play with our AI platforms, like how the CRM, our CRM, is going to connect with POP CRM, and little by little becoming part and just becoming one, like not fighting with each other, the platforms, but just complementing each other. And this is a tough decision that next MCPIM has to take. If one platform for Mexico is not working and it's not connected with one of the AI platforms as a support or as a boost or as an like build on top of something, or use it as a, for example, as a backup or this kind of things, just in case something happens, like then we need to eliminate it because it's the best for the entity. Like if we have 20 platforms and nobody knows which platform to use, it's also bad for the entity, right? So we need to narrow down which platforms we really need, and we need to narrow down which ones are going to keep and which ones are only overhead right now. And so basically, our MC platforms right now are online donations that can be connected with Expo somehow, and this kind of things that, of course, it's part of your application. So I'm not gonna spoil you with that because I don't want to just limit you with my ideas, but I want your ideas to shine as well. Um, and well, I'm gonna heading like towards the last part of the webinar, which is the MCVP experience. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit, and I'm gonna split it into two parts, which is the group experience and the individual experience. So the group experience, it's also like subdivided into three parts, which is the house, the office, and the moments with the team. So first of all, the house. Like, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to join other webinars with other MCVPs, but I think like most of the people are gonna agree. Like living with over 10 people, it's a unique experience. Like living all together in the same house, yes, of course, you're not living all in one room, but you're gonna share a lot of common spaces. You're gonna share a living room, you're gonna share a dining room, you're gonna share a kitchen, you're gonna share bathrooms, you're gonna share a lot of stuff. And like sharing this kind of experiences, it's very, very, very unique by themselves. If you had roomies before, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but like multiply this times the number of members that you're gonna be living with, like times 15, it's the same thing. But it's one kind of unique experience because when you're MCVP, you think, yes, of course, you have an office hours. I don't know, from 9 to 5, you go and then you come back, but you're actually like with the team 24/7. Like if you are not from Mexico City, you're basically with your team 24/7. And even if you're from Mexico City, like sometimes you cannot leave, you stay there because you want to. But this kinds of things start to happen. Like you stop caring, like if someone see me in boxers, whatever, it's okay. But it's really funny, it's really cool, and you really, really enjoy having time with the people, which is actually the third point, the moments. So you can enjoy like all this kind. There's a lot of personalities in this team. My experience, like there's people who like to go out. There's people who don't like to go out. There's people who like to talk to people all the time. There's people who just like to watch series all the time. So you can pick a different person for a different thing, and you can explore all of your sides, like as a person, like discover who you are and who you want to be and who you get along with the most, and how to get along with people who you don't really share a very strong interest with, but they're your people. They become your people, and they become someone who you want to defend. Like no matter what, they become someone you want to hug when there's hard times, hug when there's happy times as well, to cry with, to talk with, to just like stay in the same room with them without doing anything. So this is basically the house, the moments, experience. And the office, well, as you know, or you may know, an alumni and alumnus host us since a long time ago, like almost 18 years ago. His name is Haruo Kano. Hello, Mr. Haruo, if you're listening to this. And he's an amazing person. He has some rules for the office, but they're very simple, like office rules. No big deal, nothing extraordinary. And you have your own space to work. We also have the space for home office. Like every week, we can ask for 1 day of home office. And yes, the experience, like the office is super close. Like I've had to, as a person who lives in Mexico City, who has lived in Mexico City his whole life, I've seen another this kind of side of the city to the city because I use the bicycle a lot. I ride the bike to the office all the time. It's like 20-minute ride, even less if you ride like faster. Um, if you go slowly, it's like 20 minutes. And you can go by Metrobus, you can go by metro, you can choose any kind of transportation system that you're most comfortable with. The office is super nice, like in terms of like there's internet, and in terms of like the places that you can visit around, like there are a lot. There are cheap ones, there are expensive ones. So you can you're in one of the most centric places, the office is, and you can get to know a lot of places in Mexico City. So this is my like group experience, like the office, how it is like in terms of the MCEP. As MCEP myself, like what I've said here only has got the opportunity to live is basically three things. Coaching. I've had the opportunity to be a coach of an entity. Like this is not an opportunity that a lot of MCEPs have. Like I've had this opportunity because I've been OCP. I was OD manager before, so I have this coaching experience, and it's been one of the most amazing things, like being able to help the people to really sort their situations and like create a way forward to their entities and how they can be better LCPs all the time and better coaches themselves to their EB members. Second, I've had the opportunity to be the link between the legislation subcommittee chair and the MC. So basically, I help out in the legislation, like make it more professional, like educating the LCPs in terms of legislation matters, and this kinds of stuff. So if you like are interested in this kind of topics, like you can also become the link between a subcommittee and the MC. And also, like I've gotten to fall in love with my routine, which is basically what an MCP IM does. He does a lot of coding. Yes, that's true. But he also had spaces for synergies. Like being part of the management team of the MC has given me a different perspective because there's a lot of decision making that has to be done, a lot of synergy meetings with operations, synergy meetings with marketing, how we're going to implement this. So, and how we're going to roll out campaigns as well, like platforms, how these, for example, if we have an OGV strategy and it can be boosted through online donations, how we can make sure that everything is in place at that time in the perfect second, perfect minute, and like only the required amount of persons are authorized to pay this price, for example. So how technology can boost operations, how it can boost communication in the MC, how it can boost campaigns, this kind of stuff. But also like coding and making sure that all the platforms are up and running, having touch points for projects and doing new project dreamings. So that's a lot of the week of our MCPIM, like having projects. Right now I'm the head of the project for customer flow implementation. It doesn't really have to be a project where you are your area of expertise, but you can challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone. You need to have, of course, a certain expertise in this kind of topics. And I'm also part of the project of OD model implementation. So this is basically it. I don't know if you have questions, and this is a part where you can, of course, ask them. So just type it in. Like, I don't know, I would like to know more about the routine, like the day-to-day of the MCPIM. Maybe I didn't understand like the current state of IM. Maybe I would like to know a little bit more context about the platforms, this kind of things. So this is your time to shine. If you have any questions, you'd let me know, and I'll be waiting for them. I'll give you a couple of minutes, like a minute or two, and if I see that you're typing in the form, I'll respond. If you don't, well, don't worry. Like I'll be checking them afterwards, and I'll answer them as well, like as quickly as I can. Yes. So up to you. Now I'm gonna mute myself a bit. so you can type your questions. Okay, don't worry. I know there are going to be questions, and but um, there there are none so far. So just in case, I'll stay there in the forum for after like I close this space. Aquí está. Okay, Lázaro. Aquí tenemos preguntas. We have some questions. I'm going to translate it to English just in case some a non-Spanish speaker is listening to me right now. Wait a second. Let me just make sure that the microphone just open. Yes, of course. And how did I feel with the platforms that they like inherited me? Like, let's call it one way, like the first day. So, yes, it's a very interesting question. Uh, in terms of transition, yes, I knew which platforms we had, but one thing that I did not have is like the things that had to be done on the first day. So one thing that would have been very useful for me uh, would have been to have a list of okay, you need to change the pricing of the online payment, and you need to modify this files, and it's done. And you need to change the passwords and this kind of thing. So this is something, of course, that I'm going to transition to my successor, and we're going to do a checklist of the things that need to happen on the first day, and actually that need to happen before the first day comes. So basically, that's it. We did a lot of changes, and I know that when you done changes, like I knew that from the very beginning, like before day one, I knew that there were going to be a lot of changes in platforms. For instance, we moved from for cloud provider, we moved from Rackspace, we moved to Google Cloud, and yes, we moved the virtual machines. We did the migration, and one of the things that you face as an MCPIM is that you don't know how to do stuff sometimes. So you need to train yourself in terms of like, oh, I don't know this program language, so I need to learn it. I don't know how to do the migration of the virtual machines, so I need to learn how to do it, and this kind of thing. So it's a lot of challenging yourself and like getting out of your comfort zone all the time. And what has been the most difficult thing, speaking of fierros, which is like near to the metal and stuff that I needed to learn? Okay, that's also an interesting question. I had not thought about it, so give me a second to think about it. Um, okay, okay. So one of the things that were most difficult ones, it was exactly that, like the virtual machine migration, because it was we had two options basically. We migrated the CRM, um, but one of the things from database. But for example, one of the things that I didn't know about very well was about the engines of the databases. So there's my ISAM, and there's also like InnoDB. And like we had our CRM on my ISAM, and we migrated to InnoDB. And this is one very, like, it sounds simple, but it was very difficult because the CRM was programmed to work only with one type, with the first type of databases, not with the second one. Like you needed to move some commands in some hidden file of the configurations of the CRM to make it work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't save like the registrations. So this is a thing that took me a long time to figure out. But in the end, like once you figure out, it's easy enough because for these things like near to the metal and about like the structure of the database itself, there's not very many documentation. And that's one of the things that is hardest. Also, like the virtual machine migration, like you had to do it like byte by byte. So you need to connect like Rackspace with Google Cloud and do all the migration byte by byte. There's also, of course, like applications that let you do so, but in like while you learn it, there's a learning curve, which is really steep, to call in one way. And what has been your most difficult synergy as MCVP? That's a good question. Yes. And of course, like there's trade-offs as MCVP. And we decided as MC Neon that one of our most important links was going to be the operations and an IM synergy. But like by giving this, calling this a priority, we deprioritize some others that were also necessary because they are going, in fact, like right now through evolutions. One of the one that I've struggled with the most was TXP, because there was not a clear working plan on like what we can do. And of course, there was also not that many time that I could invest in TM. So TM needed a lot of IM stuff, and IM could not provide that many things. And we didn't know which ones to prioritize and which ones to do, or if not do anything at all. So that's one of the things that I struggle with the most. I'm still struggling with it. But one of the good things is that MCPTEM, it's very IT oriented, so he has helped me a great deal of that. But we need to figure out what's going to happen in terms of like the tools for the membership, not only the operations. And in which languages are the tools being developed? Yes, good. Which languages? We have all over the place. Like, so we have a lot of legacy things. So what our plugin, since we run on WordPress, like our plugin runs on PHP. So I already knew PHP, so I didn't have any problems with that. So of course, there are a lot of HTML and JavaScript because of the interfaces with the people. So jQuery, it's a must, of course, in terms of front end, but that's like this kind of things. Also, what else? Like we have scripts in Python. We have not maintained those a great deal as well. Not because I don't know how to code in Python, I do know, but those were not a priority. And the ones we have created, they are created in Node. JS, because that's my area of expertise and that's what I code the fastest with. And also like PHP because I wanted to keep up with the systems that are already in place and not to just throw them to garbage and keep them again. And so basically those three, like for front end, like HTML, JavaScript with jQuery, and in terms of backend, like the main language is PHP for sure. We also have some scripts in Python, and we have some scripts in Node, like JavaScript, basically. And in the end of your term, which milestone you want to see completed? Okay, so this is a very interesting one. And basically, I want to do a sprint of the online payment Like we want to do a revamp in terms of how it looks, on how it interacts with people, and this kind of launch of like deferred payments. This is something that I want to see executed because there's something that should not take that long of a time line. And the main thing that I want to see is us, if the conditions for, of course, allow us, is a move, a shift between like for our CRM for youth, basically like moving as much as we can from Podio to Expo. Why? Because yes, we can have a backup platform just to make sure that we are not losing any data, but people need to learn how to use international platforms and not use other platforms as overhead. So if I managed to do that during my semester, I would feel so pleased with the network once, because they will be educated in AI's platforms, which is very important. And two, we won't have redundant platforms because that has generated a lot of problems during our term. Basically, a lot of data that it's sort of similar, but not really similar, has caused problems because, when systems that don't match exactly, there's problems. So there's that. There's that basically. And well, so far so good, and I think that's it. Well, because I have to finish soon because PD consultancy space is coming. But thank you guys. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for um, what do I see as the next steps for all on Expo. Mm, okay, so yes, it involves a lot of synergies. So we need to align what TM and how we're going to align our national educational cycle, IM, TXP, and operations, like how we're going to embed like IM training into the operations curriculum. For example, in order to become a good seller, you need to learn this, and CRM basics. If you want to become a good a good value delivery member, you need to do this, and how to manage an EP on Expo. If you want to become certified in reintegration seminar, you need to do this, and also learn how complete works on Expo. So basically, I think that's the most important step to take, and also like how we're going to align like rewards and recognition, and how we're going to um, take the change management for the entities. I think this is one of the most important things as well. Like if you don't manage well a change, you can have the best idea of the world, but people won't follow you. So if we don't manage people to follow us, like nothing will happen, and we'll stay in Podio. And even if we take Podio out of their hands, like they create their own tool to take track. And the thing is not to duplicate work, because that's what I am at national level is here for. Like we want people to do less work, not more work every time. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for attending. I want to leave you with this phrase. I think it's one of the it's my legacy. It's the legacy of my predecessor, Kike. And well, I think it's very true for IM, especially because this is an area it's running very fast, like changes all the time. Like every week there's a new development, every week there's a new platform that we can work with, every day there's a new, I don't know, like piece of code that we can implement with our Expo, with our intercom platforms, with our website. Every time there's a new trend on IM, like on IT, that it's born. And this kind of things, like you need to adapt fast. So if at first you don't succeed with your idea, just call it version 1 and move on with the version 2, because that's what really matters, that you're moving on and doing new things and really helping people with the platforms. So yes, that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing your applications, like for MCPIM. And if I can help you with anything, just let me know. My email is webmaster@isaac.org.mx. And I leave it there in the Q&A as well. So yes, that's it. Thank you guys. Thank you. Gracias, Lázaro. Gracias, Sonny. Bye bye.